This is The Fifth Estate, a conversation between young African scholars from the Fort Hall School of Government and Professor Mutahi Ngunyi. Today we want to tell Kalonzo that politics is war, and to win he must not respond to events. He must instead direct the events. If you force people to react to your initiatives, you are in control. If you react to their initiatives, you're being controlled. For the last 5 weeks, Kalonzo has forced everyone in NASA to react to him. But to remain in control, he should do another radical thing. He should declare himself the NASA candidate. And this will have two effects. One, the other candidates will denounce his announcement. Then they will have to tell us who the candidate really is, if it's not Kalonzo. And until they announce the candidate, Kalonzo should consider himself the candidate. Besides, NASA has no nomination rules. 2, Raila wants Kalonzo to quit NASA so that he can label him a traitor. If Kalonzo declares himself the NASA candidate, he does not have to quit NASA. They will have to kick him out. And this takes away the traitor label.
Here are the reasons why Kalonzo should declare himself the NASA candidate. 1. In January, NASA appointed 2 committees to select a candidate. When they did this, we argued that a committee is nothing but a group of the incompetent appointed by the unwilling to do the unnecessary. We further quoted the July 1958 issue of Vogue magazine that described a camel as a horse designed by a committee. The 2 committees are now dead, and NASA has no candidate. The committees were a Raila ploy. 2. NASA told us that on March 22nd, they will announce the candidate. In the Fifth Estate, we argued that this was another big, fat lie. It smacked of a Raila ploy. Then March 22nd came. Kalonzo was in Dubai, Raila was asleep in Karen, and Madavati was busy explaining the NASA disaster on TV. No candidate was announced. 3. On March 24th, NASA went to Mathare to make the big announcement. It was another big fat lie. No candidate. All these were delay tactics to lock Kalonzo in a situation he cannot wriggle out of. This is why he should declare himself the NASA candidate.
What is the point here? Kalonzo's radical ways are working. Declaring himself the NASA candidate will be the ultimate act of control. But there's another dilemma. Raila himself is not in control. And the problem is not Kalonzo. Since Raila joined NASA, he has no control. He's always responding to events in opposition and not directing them. Raila is like this dog walking home with a bone in his mouth. As he crossed a narrow bridge, he looked down into the river and saw another dog in the water carrying a bigger bone. Excited by this, he decided to grab the bigger bone from the other dog. But as he opened his mouth, his bone fell in the water and washed away. Only then did he realize that the reflection on the river was that of his own image carrying a bone. And this is Raila for you. His ODM bone is bigger than the NASA bone in the reflection. Yet he's fighting to get the NASA bone. If he insists, like the dog, he will lose the bone in his ODM mouth.
Kalonzo should not quit NASA. He should stay in the coalition and cause constipation. And a good starting point for him is to declare himself the NASA candidate. And he should do this for nuisance value. But he should also do it because there are no nomination rules in NASA. And in the absence of such rules, the law of a jungle applies. According to this law, he who finds it first keeps it. This is also known as the right of first occupant. If Kalonzo becomes the first occupant of the NASA ticket through self-proclamation, the others will have to denounce him. And if they do, they will have to tell us who the candidate is if it is not Kalonzo. This will smoke them out of their dark rooms of conspiracy, in my view. But as for Raila, I'm persuaded that he was doing better before NASA came to town. Immediately after the 10th anniversary of ODM in Mombasa, his campaign had begun to gain momentum. But when NASA came into the picture, he lost the oomph. If NASA, therefore, is an agent of opportunity for Kalonzo, it is an agent of confusion for Raila, in my view.
Let us return to the NASA lies. If Kalonzo is being cheated and Raila is being cheated as well, the liar must be an actor who is invisible to both. And this is the actor who has the Tosha magic in NASA. Maybe this actor is the Mulembe Nation, the original owners of NASA. And maybe they created NASA to do political seduction. In the past, the Luya Nation has been treated as a political appendage of the Luo Nation. Now they want to organize themselves independent of Raila, and NASA is the vehicle. However, to organize themselves, they must use Raila as the object of affection. This is why Raila has been conditioned to call NASA a pretty girl. There is affection. But once Raila gets addicted to her beauty and allure, Mulembe will strike. In other words, if Kalonzo is leaving Baba, will Mulembe stick with him? If Wetangula told us that Baba is firing blanks, will Mulembe try him for the 4th time? If indeed NASA is a girl, the girl is the Luya Nation, and this girl will choose the NASA candidates.
But the Mulembe Nation is not the only girl. Raila is known to create girls from political waste. He created Mudavadi and Wetangula from the waste of post-election defeat. Without him, the two are nothing. If the Mulembe Nation uses NASA as the agent to engage in political romance with Baba, he will give them the contempt card. And this is why Joho has become important to Raila. Whenever Raila is attacked, he must retreat to Kibera or to Tononoka in Mombasa. If Kalonzo will abandon him and the Mulembe Nation will jiringa, Raila will breed an alternative. And Joho is that alternative. However, Joho must remember one thing. In every election, Raila has a Joho. In 2007, his Joho was William Ruto. He used him and dumped him. Immediately after the 2007 election, Raila acquired another Joho. His name was Ababu Namwamba. He used him and dumped him. If Kalonzo gets complicated and Mulembe insists on NASA complications, Raila will turn to the coast and ODM. And if this happens, Joho must dust off his D- and study the betrayal of William Ruto very carefully.
Is Joho his only option? The answer to this question is yes, but the reasons should be explained. Raila is like this Chinese leader called Cao Cao. One day, the leader experienced a NASA-like mutiny. The rebellion was so bad that Cao Cao contemplated suicide. But before he ended his useless life, he was hit by a brilliant idea. And so he summoned his favorite general and made a polite request. He asked him if he could borrow his head. Then he specified that it would be for a good cause. Of course, his general was flabbergasted, but the general recognized that he had no option. The story goes that Cao Cao removed the head of his favorite general and displayed it at the entrance of the camp. When the soldiers walked into the camp the following morning and saw what had happened to Cao Cao's favorite general, the rebellion came to an immediate end. If Ruto and Namwamba were sacrificed by Raila, then Raila will sacrifice anyone.
Every election has a kingmaker. In 2002, Raila had the Tosha magic. This is how he made Kibaki king. In 2013, the Tosha magic was with Ruto. Without Ruto, Uhuru could not become president. And in this election, the Tosha magic is with Mulembe Nation. Whoever Mulembe backs will become the NASA candidate. If Kalonzo declares himself a candidate and Mudavadi says Kalonzo Tosha, then Kalonzo will become the NASA candidate. If Mudavadi says Raila Tosha, then Raila will be the NASA candidate. In other words, the shortlist in NASA is down to only two people, Kalonzo and Raila. And this is why we are urging Kalonzo to declare himself the candidate as a way of putting Raila on the defensive. But as he does so, he should remember that Raila is like Moi. He is a long-distance runner. He has anticipated all these possibilities. And this is probably why he's building Joho. And I'm saying this because should the election go in a direction that does not favor him, Raila will boycott it. And if he boycotts the election, the man who will mobilize support in his favor around the country to boycott the election will be Joho.